Welcome to Own the P&L, the podcast that makes small business finance simple for non-finance leaders. Hosted by John Marshall, CEO of Series Next Solutions. This show is built for COOs and integrators who want real financial clarity and control. Let's dive in.
Welcome to Own the P&L, where today we have a guest episode. I've invited my friend and integrator extraordinaire, actually visionary now, Kristie Clayton of Herverse, which is all the things. We'll cover how Herverse handles business coaching and an incredible community for women that Kristie has built over the last 7 or 8 years now. How many is it?
Next week is 9 years.
9 years. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I've been to Kristie's Summit as a finance sponsor for over 5 years now. Super enthused, Kristie, that Summit's coming to New Orleans, my hometown, this fall.
Excited.
So if you are a female second in command out there and looking for a supportive community of learning and professional development, I'm just going to say that's the group for you. Happy to give the plug because I go to this thing every year just as a sponsor, and they're as welcoming to me as anyone else. So Kristie's background is in the integrator seat before she was in the visionary seat. I'll let her tell you about that. She's going to share from a position of expertise today. So Kristie, why don't we just jump in? Tell us a little bit about your journey, and let's start kind of earlier on when you were wearing, maybe a few different hats, and maybe it was even before you were integrator that you were working in finance.
Yeah, I would love to. First of all, thank you for having me, John. I'm super excited to have this conversation with you today. And yeah, my background starts literally from the time I graduated. I went into working for banks and credit unions and absolutely fell in love with the finance world. And I worked my way through almost every single department, as you can just imagine. And the only thing I never did in that world was any type of mortgages, right? So I literally worked through every department. And then I had an opportunity. My husband and now husband and I were getting married, and he lived in Alabama. I lived in Oklahoma. And I thought, wow, if I'm taking the leap and moving halfway across the country, I'm going to try something I've never done before that I've always wanted to do and was a huge passion, which was medical. I wanted to be in the medical field. Growing up, I always thought I would be a registered nurse until I realized, John, I can't stand the sight of blood. And as an RN, that is usually something you have to be able to do. But I realized I really loved like the business side of the finance world. And I thought, wow, maybe there is an opportunity to try the medical in that same sense. And so when I moved, I started working for practice here and loved it. I very quickly grew again and worked my way up to being what is called a practice manager in the medical industry, which meant that I was running the business side of everything. So I got to try out what I loved, running the business in an industry that I thought I would love, and came to find out I actually didn't love it as much as I thought I would. So I went back to finance and entered into wealth management. And that's where I officially discovered the integrator role. And was able to merge what I really, really loved doing. I loved running the business, which is that practice manager, integrator role. But I also really loved the world of finance. So being able to be back into that world was really, really incredible for me. And so working my way up through everything, I've done everything from literally, the data entry of transactions into QuickBooks or, whatever system the company was using, all the way to now literally P&L management and leadership and really influencing and owning the decisions that get made inside of all of the finance world.
Yeah. Okay. So you got plenty of time to learn it and figure it out along the way, which is great experience that you can share with people who maybe come from a different side of the business and now they've got responsibility for it and they go,
yeah,
financial statements.
Yeah.
How do I deal with that?
And it can be super scary too, right? Because
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the finance piece is a huge part of a business, and it can almost be sometimes paralysis, that I need to know how to do all of the things, and if I don't, I'm gonna really mess it up, right? And I could really be detrimental. So for me, learning from the ground up was really, really important. That is how I learn, and I love to learn in that manner. So, being able to understand what the data entry looks like, and some of the verbiage and some of the ways that we think naturally, it's actually very, very opposite in accounting and the way that you do things. So, learning all of that was incredible. But really, truly, where I found the most just absolute satisfaction and fulfillment was being able to step back and seeing it from the 30,000 view, and understanding how finances, not just the data entry of the actual numbers that get printed on the P&L or on the balance sheet, but being able to see and influence the decisions that we're making inside the company that then turn into the results that we're looking for.
Yeah, that's the true COO integrator role.
Yeah.
Tell us more about what that looks like. Are you setting up systems? Is there a day-to-day rhythm to it?
Yes, there are lots of things that I love to put into place. I love being able to have a rhythm and a cadence with whether it's a chief financial officer or a bookkeeper or whoever is responsible for
Mm-hmm.
the actual entries, right? I personally don't enjoy that as much as I used to. And so having that person who's really, really great at doing that so that I can stay where I'm really, really great is really critical to me. And so, having things in place of, when they're going to have those entries done, when they're going to have reports to me, and being able, one of the most important things to me is that I actually have time to look at it, right? So if I'm having a regular cadence of meeting once a month or twice a month with a person who's doing the data entry, then it's really important to me that I get those a day or two before, right? So I can have time to review it, look over it, understand the numbers, and make sure that I am able to write down any questions that I may have
Yeah.
about what these numbers mean, right?
Yeah.
Because for me as integrator, that's only one tiny little piece on is for me to know and understand the numbers. I then have to be able to interpret that and lead up to my visionary and report to my visionary, here's what our numbers are saying, here's the story that it's telling, and
Mm-hmm.
is it the story that we want? And then being able to go to our leadership team and say, hey, here's what we've discovered, and being able to lead through the P&L. I think, sometimes it's really easy for us when we're not getting revenue numbers that we're looking for, John, right? For us to be able to go, well, that's a sales problem. We have a sales problem. And going to sales and pointing the finger at them. Why are you not closing more?
Mm-hmm.
However, when you're in the integrator COO role, it's really important to look at the story. What is being said, right? And yes, I may go to my sales team first with curiosity. Can you
Yeah.
tell me what's going on, right? Why are we not closing as many leads as we used to, or why are things happening or not happening the way that we thought it would or wouldn't, and really being able to get into a curious mode with them, because sometimes what happens is they say, well, we're working all the leads we've got, but marketing's not sending us enough leads. Well, now I can go to our marketing team and say, hey, marketing, what's going on? Like, why
Yeah.
are we not getting as many leads as we used to? And now marketing and being really curious with them too, right? Again, I think it's really important when you're sitting in COO integrator that you're not pointing a finger and accusations, but you're getting curious with them, right? Why are
Yeah.
these things happening or not happening? Right.
Um,
So now marketing may have a great reason. Well, we've had somebody that's been out on a sabbatical or an FMLA reason or whatever it may be. And so their production hasn't been as much. Well, what do we now need to do to support them? And now we can really turn it into an opportunity for us to really explore what we need to be able to do.
I'm really glad you touched on not just data, as a storyteller, what is the story of what's going on in the organization, but also that point about curiosity and asking questions, because I think it's really important to point out to people who maybe aren't super comfortable or experienced in the finance and accounting world, especially if you aren't, trained in accounting, to Ask the stupid questions of your bookkeeper. Understanding your business is one thing, but understanding finance and accounting is not what a lot of people grew up to do.
Yeah.
Most people in the accounting world will actually, they can have a reputation for being in a bit of a shell. Here's your stuff. I'm just going to make problem statements. But they'll come out of it a little bit if you ask them about it. I tell men, it's like talking to a pretty girl. Remember they told you growing up, just ask them questions and you still couldn't do it?
I love that analogy because you're right. Like, John, like my zone of genius is not finance, right? Like that's not, am I good enough to be able to understand the numbers? Yes. But what I need is an interpreter for the numbers, right? Like I need the person who's going to go in there, do the data entry, because I promise you don't want me doing that. And they're going to be the ones that then present it to me and say, hey, here's what I'm seeing. Now, I need to have enough knowledge and experience to be able to make sure that the story that I'm being told is accurate, right? Like,
Yeah.
or do I see a hole or a gap here? But that person being an interpreter of the numbers and then me being able to take that back to the team and say, hey, listen, visionary, here's the story. Curiosity, even with them too, John, of like, is this the story that you're also seeing? And is this the numbers that are going to get us to our goals? And if so, fantastic. We celebrate. We're excited about that. But if not, then what do we need to be doing, right? And really being able to either course correct or, or to really emphasize what we need. But also as the integrator, one of the things that I've noticed is a lot of times that's where people they stop, right? They have conversations with the sales team, they have conversations with the marketing team, and then that's where it ends. Wait a minute, there's a lot more to it, right? I mean, you need to have consistent conversations with your finance team so that you're getting, more and more numbers, right? We can't just get it once a month or once every 6 months or whatever it may be. Like we need to have consistent numbers. Yes, absolutely need scorecard numbers, right? But then also, I need to make sure that my operations team is also ready, right? Because if they've gotten into a rhythm of not as many sales coming in or not as many deals closing, then they might not be prepared for when we're going to have an uptick in marketing, which means our sales team is going to have an uptick in all the conversations that they're have, which fingers crossed means more conversions, right? And so if my operations team is unprepared for that, then I've done a deficit to the company. So I need to continue that conversation with operations. Hey, we're expecting XYZ, and do you have the manpower? Do you have the systems? Do you have the support to make sure that really truly is going to go well for us, right? Because we don't want to bring new customers, new clients into our organization and then not fulfill or drop the balls. And now we don't have a good experience, because we all know a client or a customer's first impression is going to be a lasting impression. So we want to make sure that all of the wheels are turning, not just finances going well, not just, curiosity with sales and marketing is going well, but really truly across the board, everybody is prepared for whatever is going to be happening.
Yeah, I think you just described finance as oil, lubricant.
Yeah,
that makes everything move.
The wheels and the finance is definitely the oil. I love that.
Yeah, that's that one just came out. I should run with that one.
You should.
Watch the next episode. I'm going to describe an entire vehicle. I think it's really relevant for me to ask you, right now, to describe a little bit about, how somebody who is in that second in command seat, whether they're EOS or something else, can engage with and work with Herverse to level up in not only the finance seat and managing that, but also just access more resources and community.
Yeah, love that question. Thank you for asking. So first and foremost, HER is an acronym, John, that is helping executives rise, right? So yes, we have a community for women who sit in that right-hand leader seat. And listen, you can insert plethora of titles because we love to use all of them in this role. So whether you're a COO, an integrator, president, vice president, chief of staff, whatever your title may be, if you are sitting in the position where you are supporting the visionary leader running the day-to-day business and leading the leadership team, then this is a community for you. And you can definitely go to herverse.com and see the opportunities that we have available. You mentioned Summit is coming up in New Orleans, and we are so excited to be in New Orleans this year. And that is an opportunity for us to come together in person and be able to really grow and learn with each other. All of our speakers this year, John, I am so incredibly excited about this. All of our speakers this year are women, and all of our speakers are members. So these are women who are sitting in the same role that you have and are going to share their expertise, their experience, their knowledge, their skills that they have developed over the years. And we have some incredible topics this year and really some incredibly brilliant women that are going to be speaking. And then I also just want to mention too, though, is we also have coaching that we do. And coaching is available to both men and women. And we coach the visionary leader, the integrator COO, and also leadership team members. So if you're looking for that support and how to really grow and develop into the role that you have, we have coaches that support all of your leadership team, including the visionary and integrator.
Yeah, that's great. One other piece that I love that you guys have launched are these mastermind groups, whether they're geography based or some other affinity based. I am super excited to watch those grow through their monthly sessions in moderation, because I've gotten a first class seat, once a year to come inside a Summit. You guys have invited me into session rooms, in moments that get a little uncomfortable for me when there's like a dance party.
We do love to dance a little bit, don't we?
I just want to hang back with my right angles and my spreadsheets.
Yeah, and the masterminds are beautiful, John, because what we learned over the last 9 years is what our women are really looking for is that community, right? They really want to not just surface level talk about, some opportunities or challenges that they are having, either both, personally in their career or with their visionary integrator relationship or with a business, whatever it may be. They want to be able to go deep into those conversations. And so we have launched our 7th mastermind, and we are getting ready to launch 2 more. So it's really, really exciting time. So masterminds are small, intimate groups, right? And they're intentionally intimate groups of 6 to 8 women who meet on a monthly basis for anywhere, depending on which group, it's 2 or 4 hours that they meet, and they're going deep, right? They're going beyond surface level conversations, the things that I am okay with sharing with everybody. They're actually going much, much deeper than that. It's so funny, John. I was talking to someone the other day and, sharing masterminds and what they are. And he looked at me and he goes, "Oh, this is the Get Naked group." I'd never thought about it that way, but he was like, "You guys are stripping off all of the comfortable layers, and you're able to really go deep with one another. You're able to have the conversations that you can't have with anybody else." Because John, let's be real, as a COO integrator, who do I go to, right? My visionary leader has entrusted me with running the business, and I don't need to take these burdens back to that person. My leadership team, a lot of times it's inappropriate to go to them just yet. So who do I go to? I'm the only person in my organization that has this role, has this responsibility, is carrying this weight on my shoulders. Oftentimes my family doesn't understand it, my spouse doesn't understand it, my friends don't understand it. So who in the world do I talk to? Well, that's why we originally started as Fem and is now Herverse, is to be able to have a community that will share that weight with you. And the transformation we have seen from, first of all, just knowing you're not the only one that is experiencing whatever you're going through, but also to get support from people who have been there, done that, is transformational.
I couldn't agree more. You're right. It is lonely at the top, and it's the personnel responsibility, and it's the profit responsibility, and it's how those two interact. It's hard to relate to it unless you've done it, and having that peer group I couldn't say enough. I do one myself for small business leaders, and every month, practically collapse into the session room.
I know. I can't tell you how many times I've shown up to one of mine, and we do a deep dive check-in every month, and it's like, you, Kristie, what is your biggest need today? First and foremost, my biggest need is I just need to be here with y'all. Like I need you all are my people, you're my support, you're my encouragers, and I just need your presence. And oh, by the way, there's this thing that I want to talk about, right? But I need to be around my people who get me, who understand what I'm going through. Yeah. It's a game changer.
Well, Kristie, I appreciate you spending so much time with us today. I love that we covered, data telling stories and kind of your personal background and give people context for what you've been able to see and what you think is important. I like that we were, even just now covering that lonely at the top piece. So, people out there who maybe are new to the role, that that's normal to have those things, feeling like they're running counter to each other and nobody else sees it like you do. It is true.
It is true.
and being able to cover that curiosity piece as well for people, to go ask your dumb questions of the people who are the experts, mine their expertise, because you're not supposed to know it yet. So I think this was a wonderful conversation, and I think tremendously helpful to anyone who's sitting in that seat. Very much appreciate you joining us.
Well, thank you for having me, John. Yeah, my biggest thing, stay in your zone of genius and really look at who, not how, all the time, right?
I love it. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if you want to follow up with Kristie and the Herverse organization, you go to herverse.com, available for coaching, for peer groups, summit, other resources. So check it out. Even if you're not a woman, there are some services available to you there. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We'll see you next time on Own the P&L.
Thanks for tuning in to Own the P&L. If this episode helped you think differently about your numbers, share it with another operator who needs it. This podcast is all about helping COOs and integrators take ownership of their P&L, gain future financial clarity, and run their business with confidence.